All right, we are live. Hey, all right, yeah, we are live. Welcome back, everyone. And today we're gonna talk about UV mapping. Pretty exciting subject. Well, not everyone likes or loves UV mapping, but something that it's needed. Finish our product. So this is what we're gonna be doing today. It's a little project I made. It's not that big, but it's gonna show a few techniques in UVs. And again, as we are being doing in Houdini, we are making stuff not super mad scientist level. We are just humans, and we want to use Houdini for everyday stuff. So this is what we're gonna do today. All right, so this is the project that we want to be doing. This is the final render, and this is the scene. I'll give you guys the scene after this is done. So you can see this is very simple. The table is just, it doesn't exist. It's just the top. Because why do the rest, right? The book, it's pretty simple book. It has some detail there. You can see even in the viewport looks pretty cool. Texture all around, even in the back has texture, pretty good. The floor is just one plane with a texture. I didn't want to do anything else. It didn't need it anything else because I was just going for this angle. You can see I have that book here. This is books, a pretty good book by Eric Goldberg. I don't know the guy that animated Aladdin. Mostly the pretty cool. I met him in Canada a few years ago. Pretty nice. The book is amazing. It's incredibly cool. Oh, you can see I even have a drawing here. Pretty cool. All right, so we're gonna be doing texturing on the book. Gonna be pretty cool. But first, let's start doing some basic understanding and using the basic tools, the UV tools in Houdini. And so again, if you guys have questions, any questions, anytime, just let me know. And if you heard, if you managed to hear a big sounding or pounding noise, somebody decided to remodel his house. I don't know, just now next to my house, so it's noisy. So if you hear that, I'm sorry. That's been my whole day, hearing that all day. All right, so let's start with something simple in Houdini. Let's start with the simplest thing. Like, how do we texture something that is flat, like a grid? Let's say, what if this is gonna be like a wall or a floor? So we can just go inside, and there's a shelf for that. You know, there's a texture shelf. We have all the UV tools, or most of the UV tools. I think that's most of the UV tools, if not all. No, I know there's a few others like UV layouts not here, but there's a few more. So to texture this floor will be just pretty simple. Just select the floor. Just you can use a projection for this, or you can use a texture, a UV texture, or a UV projection will work for this. Let's try the UV texture first because it seems like something that you should be using. Once I click that, it asks me to select the primitive, so let me just select everything, and it drops the texture there. It seems like nothing happened here, but if we press space and 5, we go to the UV view. This is the UV view. Or we can just press Ctrl 4 to divide the view in two, make this one into a UV view, and we have the 3D view and the UV view together. You can see if we go back to the grid, it doesn't have any UVs. The UV and the UV texture created the UVs. By default, the UV texture is just projecting on an axis. In this case, in the y-axis, and it's projecting down, like so. It's just filling the whole texture into that square. To view the texture here in 3D, we can use the quick shading tool here. We can use it here. We can create it here. It doesn't matter. The same thing. Again, asks us to select the geometry. You can see now we're seeing the UVs here. The UVs. For some reason, and maybe I don't know, but maybe SideFX will change this, or maybe not. But for some reason, this is always backwards, or it's actually mirror, because if you see it from the top, you can see this is not right. Numbers are wrong. If you see it from the bottom, it's right. But why is it right from the bottom if we are texturing from here? Could be debatable, because if this is a closed surface, this will be the outside. But I always all the time have to just scale this negative to get the right direction. But again, something that it's maybe not supposed to be like that, but I don't know. That's how we texture something that's very simple like that. So let's move on and say something that it's a little bit more complex, like a box. So a box has like 6 planes. Now it's not just one plane, right? Let me go to flat shape. So for this, there's another one. It's pretty cool, and you can use the UV unwrap. Using the UV unwrap, again, select everything, enter. You can see the UV unwrap will do one face for each, one projection for each face, like this. Again, let's put the quick edit. I mean the quick UV, the quick shade here to select the see the UV grid in the 3D viewport. You can see this is how you could do that. If this is too big or too small, you can change the scale with another node. I'm gonna wait for that. You can see the UV unwrap has selection of planes. If you wanna project in more planes, you can see the gizmo here in the middle. If you want just 4 sides, it's like a pyramid there. You want 5 sides, but for this, well, a cube will be perfect, right? So there's other options here. It's not that hard to understand what the option is doing. It's just the scale is gonna be trying to force it to stretch to fill as much UV space as possible. Uniform will keep the size of the you can see I can move the gizmo there. And we'll try to keep the same size as the face, the real size. Spacing will be spacing between those faces. Again, you can rotate as I already kind of did here. See the update here. And the quick shade, the only thing it has is these parameters are not doesn't do anything. These parameters don't work when you already have a texture here. So just you can when you have UVs, you can only change the type of UV grid that you're seeing. So you can go, there's another one. If you go to, you click here, go to Houdini, pick this path here that is always there, go all the way down. There's a few other UV grids. I like this one. There's the fancy colors there. Cool. But you can see this is not perfect because the edges are not joined, are not seen, are not so that's how you do that. Let's go to another one. I'm gonna be deleting this, keeping this for you guys reference. We'll do that. Let's go for something that it's different. Like we're going from the simple shapes first, but it's gonna get more complex. So this is a tube. Okay, let me put the height here. What if we want to give some UVs to this? Well, A flat plane or a flat projection wouldn't work. Cube projection wouldn't work. So what can we do? Well, we have a few options. Let's use the UV project for time. Select everything. Now we have something that is projecting there. You can see there's a plane there. That is planar. And by default, the UV project has an orthographic projection. You can see the UVs here are being projected for that direction, but that doesn't work for a cylinder, of course. There's a few other projections here, like polar, which is more like for a sphere. Cylindrical, well, that would be perfect, of course. Initialize that. And now you can see the UVs are perfect here. Again, let's select the UV quick shade. Select everything. There we go. We have perfect UVs now, like perfect UVs here. Pretty cool. Okay, now we have other kinds of projection, like toroidal for something latest, like a torus. There we go. You can see that it's like a donut. Plastic wrap. I think I never used the plastic wrap, but I think it will try to fit to a shape. See if we can do something with it right here live. Let's do a platonic solid. Platonic solids are not common shapes. Do octahedron. Yeah, that. All right, let's see that. Put a UV project. And let's use the plastic wrap. And it tries to do the job. It's mostly like a sphere. It tries to do the job here. So it doesn't super work here. All right. So what else can we do here? Well, there's some other stuff that will be more complex, like it's a simple object. There is something that's more complex, like this subject here. This is complex, and it will be something that you will do. A character, let's say. And you can see this already has UVs. It already has a texture. It's ready to go, right? You can see the UVs here are pretty cool. Well, very well done here. So how can we do something like this? Why did I do that? Right. So we can even go inside here. And I like to call this guy Roberto, my friend. So I'll call it Roberto. Let's do a quick shade. See how the UVs are laid out here. That's pretty cool. So how can we, let me just delete this, view delete. It should be a vertex object. See, that's a vertex. Attribute, deleted. No more UVs. Texture doesn't work. Wow. We delete the material as well. So let's try to do something with the body first. All right. So there's a few things you can do. So let me think about what I want to do. So this is done in a few pieces. Like you can see this. If I double click here, this piece, separate piece, separate piece, separate piece, and the those little horns here are in separate pieces, and the body is one piece. Sometimes I like to just hide everything else and just focus on one thing. If you would like that, it's pretty simple to do. Just select wherever you want and put a visibility node. The visibility node is just like it says, just visibility. It's not deleting objects. So I'm gonna show, just apply to non-selected to tie in everything else. And let's try to do some UV projection. UV project. And UV project is gonna give us a projection from the top, which is not usable. We can try to say polar again, not usable. Cylindrical, nope. Toroidal, oh, plastic wrap. So we need to cut this up. I'm gonna need to cut this bad boy. So most of the time you try to hide your seams or the cut areas, so you don't have to. So in the texture, it's not as noticeable. So let's try cutting on the back here. Select some edges, like maybe here, here. Those will be nice cut points. But before we do that, we're gonna use the new. Then we could try to use the unwrap first. No, not the unwrap. Sorry, the unwrapping will be really not good for this either. The pelt, which is an older tool here. Let's use the pelt. The pelt says select edges to form the boundaries. Select edges, center, maybe some in the neck, and maybe cut these areas here. Yeah, legs. And let's see what happens there. There's enter. Doesn't work. I don't know why. Says no boundary edges are connected. I don't read. So let's try it again. Target type points, maybe. Don't use the pelt that much. Let's try it again. View pelt. Oh, select edges for from the boundary. One edge here. Middle edge. And press enter. Hold down control for a hint. What's a hint? Polygon. Give it that one. And enter. There we go. Now it worked. It needed a hint polygon there. I didn't read the instructions. Now, are we pelting this guy up? See how the quick shade looks. And it only did one piece. So just did the area that it had the pelt, I mean the reference polygon there. But it did a good job. It's not that bad. And this can be useful for different areas. So you can see it's just kind of stretching polygons, and the more iterations you give it, it will try to solve more of the unwrap there. There's also a UV distortion, visualization here that I don't know why it's not working for me. Don't know why. I activate the UV distortion and I don't see it. Hey, hello. I don't know why it's not working for me. It should work. Not working for me. Some weird reason. Could be something here. Don't see it. There should be a distortion attribute. There is none. All right, maybe that's why. So that's how you can pelt something. But what I like to use now is the UV layout. The UV flatten. And it's actually, yeah, it is here. So let's go and deselect everything. Just use the UV flatten from here. Select the polygons. Enter. Now you select the seam edges. The same. Select here. Neck. Now I'm gonna select legs again. Here and another one here. Not gonna be perfect, but press enter now. Now we have something. Oh, now the distortion is working. You can see there is some distortion. Now you can see, let me make this bigger. Now you can see we have some UVs. This is pretty cool. And it's not that not that much of a distortion. It's a little bit here on the ear, a little bit here on the mouth. Yeah, a little bit here on the other side of the mouth, and the mouth and the ear, which is very respectable. It's not that bad. Let's see the object in the 3D viewport. You can also see the distortion here in the 3D viewport. You can see there's the distorted areas. It's pretty useful for checking the areas that need some work. But it's pretty good for this. You can see that's not bad at all. Pretty good. Of course, it's not perfect. Maybe I should cut the ears and cut around here to give it more. And let's try to do that. Let's see how we can do that. Once we have all these areas done, we can add more edges here. There's a few ways to do it. You can try to do it here. To add more edges to cut here. I like to do it here in the viewport. So for that, I'm just gonna press, with this selected, I'm gonna press the tilde key. The one is just below the escape. Press that and it will try to give you again the selection mode. So select the polygons, it's everything, and it's saying now select the edges. Well, I'm gonna add to these edges by shift clicking here, Shift A to extend that. Shift A will give me like a range. Gonna go, guessing this area is the one that it's distorting here. We go there, get another one here. Oh no. Shift A to extend the selection. First, like this again. Shift A. Shift A over there. And the ears, right? The ears were distorting a lot. So let's cut them separate. That is not a perfect loop. That is not a perfect loop either. So let's see. Have a loop here. Is there a loop? This ear. Oh, could be this one. I lost time of selection. Move that. Using UVs fun. That's a very funky edge. So let's try to do it by hand, because this is not gonna work. Go here, that extended here. Here. So I'm just gonna do the one ear just for demonstration and press enter again. Calculates again. Now we have more cuts, but now I guess in the ears not as deformed. It is a little bit deformed still. Could use a little bit more work, but it's a complex shape. Maybe we should cut around here or something, but maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe your texture is gonna just compensate for that. All right, that looks pretty cool, and it's pretty good. A pretty good set of UVs there. So now, after you do that, you may say, all right, I'm happy with these UVs. I just want to organize them a little bit better here in the viewport. Maybe have some padding between them and the borders. So what you can do for that, it's actually, let me just turn off the UV distortion. It's showing in my other monitor now. Okay, the pop-up is showing in my next monitor. Sorry. So what you can do is, let's say we want to lay out this. So there's the very useful UV layout node now. See that lets your arranges your nodes here. I mean your UV islands here. Tries to not waste any space. Just to make the most of that. And then you can apply some padding, because it's always important to have some padding between the islands and the borders. I always put this like around 20 if I'm going for more than 22K or something like that. 20, it's a good number for me. You can see that just makes the UVs layout pretty cool. All right, so you can see the difference there. So that's the basic things in UVs. I think it's pretty cool. UV tools in Houdini are not bad at all. Not bad at all. There's some more funky stuff. Maybe you've seen the ways to make procedural procedural UVs and stuff like that, and it's totally possible. And it's something that I will show in a tutorial I'm preparing. Let me just save this. I'm gonna save it later. But it's totally possible. Maybe just open another instance. I know there's some tutorials out there that deal with doing UVs for roads and stuff like that, like road racetracks. So it's pretty, it's pretty, it's totally doable. That's what I want to say. Let me set the project to something that I'm working on. I'm going to show you how I did this asset. I'm going to open the asset fence here. All right, so this fence, it's an asset I made for Unreal Engine. And in Unreal Engine, you will be able to modify this. And we go to shaded. You can see this has textures already. And when you modify the input curve here, this one, this will all work because it's pretty. This is a pretty well built asset. But the thing is that even if you add more points to this curve, like let me add one here. See the texture works every time. It doesn't distort or anything. It's just kind of distorts a little bit, but it's just the nature of the beast. But it tries to keep the UVs as good as possible. And how I'm doing that is I'm actually texturing. If I go to wireframe or this view, if we go here, this is where I'm doing the UVs. What I'm doing here for the UVs is I'm just saying, you see this face? Yeah, add UVs to that face. See that other one? Yeah, add the same UVs. I'm just adding the same UVs for every face, and there's a really nice function for that, which is the texturing to face. And what is doing, let's go to 5. Yes, it is. All right. Kind of funky with those UVs, but that's what it's doing. Kind of, I was expecting to see all the UVs on top of each other, which is yeah. It's actually that's because I made them bigger. It's actually just saying apply UVs like if like one projection for every face. That's what it's kind of saying. And when you add more objects to this, when you add to this fence, it would just keep doing that, and it will keep having good UVs. Oh, the quick shade does here. You can see there's the UVs. It's pretty small because they had a pretty small texture and it's repeated a lot. You can see the UVs are there. Pretty small here. Let's multiply that. So that's how you can do also some procedural UVs for your assets. Let's start working now on that book. It's gonna be a set of challenges on itself. All right, so we're gonna do this book. We're gonna start exploring what it's being done here. You can see I have this book is being modeled here completely. So let me just save this in. Save it as start. This is the start scene for this. Now, let me just remove everything that is UVs here. Gonna be all these guys here are all UVs. Do those UVs. Not gonna do it. Right. Yeah. Pages has here done textures now. So this is the book with no textures. Add the table on the floor for now. This on. Hide the camera as well. Don't want to see cameras. Don't want to see lights. So, and we're gonna just flat shade it. There we go. This is the book. It's a kind of high model on the cover. The pages are really simple. One kind of a block there. The cover, it's a little bit more detailed. So how would you approach something like this? How can I have this pretty detailed stuff and then UV it and not have to deal with all this detail maybe? Well, it's pretty simple. And I think we're gonna start with the table, which is gonna be way simpler. Just one object. But you can see there's a lot of detail here. And dealing with that amount of detail might not be the best choice for when doing texturing. And you can see it. Here's my notes for texturing here. And let's see what we have here in Houdini. So I created a grid. Then I just only extrude that. And then if I deactivate all the UV nodes, then I added poly bevel on the corners there. You can see there's the bevel. Then I've subdivided that. Then added normals. I sometimes like to subdivide stuff instead of just subdividing on render time, because that way I know exactly how the UVs are going to behave. But if they are behaving correctly, I might just do this step at render time. Let's see, how will we approach with this object? Let's say we have that is done. Well, if we get in Houdini, we can insert stuff before it's built or it's completed. Like here, it's just simple flat, just a simple flat table, not that complex. Once we add the bevel, it's more complex on the corners, but you can see that this attributes actually propagate to the poly bevel, so, and even to the subdivision, of course. So it's better, or it's more it's, let's say it's the best option is to just do it before you add all that detail. If you have the detail here, if you have something that is frozen from another application, well, you're gonna have to just do it like that. So let's see what I did here. So I did an unwrap here. Yes, so let's try to do the same thing. Say unwrap just up if I can, because since this is kind of like a cube and we have the material applied, so we are seeing the result as we are doing. You can see this is the result just by doing an unwrap, because it's basically a cube. And let's go to the UV view. I have a UV view here. UV view here. So that's what the UV unwrap is doing. It's just separating each face, this side, bottom, top, and it's doing a pretty good job. What I wanted to do, it's like, say, like I thought, well, this side's never gonna be seen at all. You know, it's just the bottom. Never gonna see it in this direction. It's never gonna be seen. So why don't we just say which one is the bottom? That's the top. That's the bottom. So there we go. Let's just let's just select all the bottom ones and make them smaller. Just press E for scale and scale the UVs down. You can see their texture looks pretty bad here, but then I can just give more texture space to my other areas that are gonna be seen. Now that I have that smaller, now I want a UV layout to help me. Instead of me moving these pieces around and doing actually this, I can just have the UV layout and it will do it for me automatically. Now the top has more surface, more texture area, and the sides as well. And I want to add some padding, applying padding to the boundaries as well. And you can see if I put, this is the correct sizes, but this is the size that I declare that I wanted. I wanted to make this smaller, so it is like, all right, so that's smaller. Then you want all the other ones bigger? Yes, here. Thank you, sir. We have more texture space here on the top, which is pretty cool. And since this is Houdini, we can even go here and start scaling in the result in real time here and here, which is pretty cool. If you just want that as a little square, you have that. Pretty damn cool. And next we can just plug this here and everything's done. The bevel is done after that. Pretty cool. Subdivision is done after that. The normals are done, and have more our object there. Pretty cool. Alright, so this is one texture. Let's go for something more complicated, like that book we're talking about. Stop running away from that book. Let's go. That book. This book is a little bit more complicated. So as I said, this is two pieces. This is one piece. This is the interior or the pages part. Go to flat wire. The interior part of the book. And this side here, the cover. The cover part. And you can see, pretty simple. I create a cube and move it around. Why do I have some more UVs here? I need those. So just have that. That's my whole model there. I'm actually gonna delete, guys. Here I'm gonna delete it there later. And delete all this stuff, but I'm just gonna leave it. This side, it's just pages. I extruded the other object, then give it some divisions on the edges to keep the shape when subdividing, etc. Just in the middle there. Then we need to start applying textures to this, right? Let's create a few nodes. All right, so the thing I'm gonna use for this, I'm gonna use a UV project. I'm gonna tell you why. Let's select this two, Shift G to ungrow, Shift G to grow, and I have all the front selected. Even that little edge there, it's selected. Right, so I could even go before I add all that detail and texture there, but I think this is a good compromise in detail and UV. So it's okay. So I'm gonna convert this selection to vertices, but just right clicking on here, vertices, and I'm gonna use the UV project. Let's go to texture, UV project. It's expecting vertices or points, but always use vertices. Points, for some things you need points, but if you're texturing surfaces, always use vertices, always. So all right, so it creates this. You can see that kind of blue handler. That's the UV projection. UV, yeah, exactly, the UV projection that we have there. And what's happening here, save this, save it over. What's happening here is just filling that projection with that selection that we had, which it just means it translates, rotates, and scales this that projection to fill uh, the whole texture space here. Let's put a UV quick shade so we can see it. You can see we have those UVs there, and this is what I'm talking about. Why is this in that direction? You know, because I'm texturing this book, and those UVs are wrong, are flipped, are actually, we need to scale it here to correct. So not complaining, but it makes my life a little bit harder now. Sometimes. All right, so but another thing you can see here is that these UVs are actually distorted. You can see the squares are not real squares, are kind of stretched. And in using the UV texture, you can't actually get correct proportions. And we do want to hit we want the correct proportion for this patch here, because we're gonna apply a texture that is already at the right size for. So we're gonna project a few more times and merge those to make the whole cover. And what I do when I want to get correct vertices, I just reset the scale to 1. Just double or middle click here with control middle click. I don't even know what I do. Just do it without thinking. Middle click using control on the name, it just resets the volume. Goes to 1, but now you can see this is the right aspect ratio of this. Not a square. Now this is the correct dimensions here. Now that I have that, I can make it smaller to fit in the UV area. Now you can see it doesn't fit exactly in the square, but that is the correct aspect of this. And you can see the square there outside of the book. So I'm gonna say, let's go to maybe something smaller because we're gonna have a few other parts. Let's go to 3, and I'm gonna flip this Y attribute because it will give me trouble later, or I'm gonna have to flip everything later. Now this is in the correct direction. Check that it is. Yeah, it is in the correct direction. The spine of the book. Now let's do the same for the back. It's gonna be exactly the same. Select 2 polygons. Grow twice. Did I select more than I needed? Let me see if no, I'm correct. Where are these 2 vertices? You can use the shortcut there and use the UV project again. Again, it's gonna project that. There's the UV. And they are flipped. Let's just reset these values to get the correct aspect. Put these 3. We did 3 with the other one, but now they are flipped. You can see this the top here, and this is the actual top, but the UVs are pointing to the bottom. We're gonna have to rotate this. I'm not sure. Never use the handle to do that. I don't think you have a rotate option here. This is the rotate handle now. Can you even grab the rotate handle? Oh, you can actually get the handle. Oh, you can just rotate. Press R to rotate. You can rotate it like that. Rotate exactly 180. And that's the correct direction. Yes. All right. The correct aspect ratio as well. So now we need to do the spine of the book. Right. Like the spine. Let me go this area for now. Select primitives. Select all these guys. Grow once. And yes, I have everything. Check the other side. Yes. Let's do the same thing. Vertices and projection. Again, fills the projection to that area, which is very useful for some things. Sometimes I use this kind of a projection because I want to have a complete coverage of the UV space, and it's pretty useful. Now in this case, I don't, so I'm gonna again reset this to get the correct UV ratio. Scale, make this bigger. Now let's go to see the UV quick shade, see how it is. You see this is starting to look, the squares are pretty good. The size of the squares are pretty, they are on point. But this is flipped in the wrong direction. So again, we need to flip it. Go here. And they are for rotate. Are we doing the right way? The right thing? No. Handle. Where's the handle? Ah, there is the handle. Rotate now. I'm not sure if I'm going in the right direction, so let's turn on the quick shade. No, wrong direction. So this is the right direction, but it's flipped. I know all the letter. So you can just maybe move it a little bit. You can see that letter is wrong. So again, we're gonna have to invert the Y. Now we're gonna have to rotate in the other direction. 80. No, needed to invert the Y. No rotation there. So now this looks perfect. The side looks perfect. The direction looks perfect. Now what can we do? Or let's merge these guys. So let's use a UV layout. You organize this thing. And maybe the UV layout will do a mess. Let's see. It kind of did. Try the line. It's not correct area proportions. And yes, making a mess. Don't want to make a mess here because I had my textures really well organized. So I'm not gonna use the UV layout. I'm gonna move these islands by hand. So let's see which one is my. You can see I can just go here and select stuff here as normal. Double click, but I'm gonna select everything that it's connected to geometry. There is a selection mode for UVs. You can see UV connected geometry. Click, or you can actually select the islands here. Let's say that's the spine of the book, and move it. We don't have to be like trying to guess what we have selected. You can have select 0 and move it on, move it. Going on now, I can just click on them here as well. I was able to. Weird. Why I can't do this now? Alright, so let's see what's happening because I have this happening. Alright, so the spine is in the right place. I want that there. I want the cover to be on this side and the back over here. So let's see. I just select the back. Fine. I'm selecting both because they are not together. Maybe it's because they are one on top of the other. Mine was on top of the other. or try to move it. Want me to move it? All right, so let's try to select it in. But you have to deal the time. Tool. Selecting both, right? Yeah. I don't want that. Okay, let me go here, move this projection a little bit. Now let's try to do that. Like that. Yeah, it is because they are on top of each other. Okay. Good to know. Now selecting that one. This is the back, right? So I'm gonna put this here. Front. Move it over here. Behind is gonna be. Oh. I want to select edges because it selects the edges on the other object. We just go really close and put those guys together, because I'm gonna just use those like this one and do the same thing. Make it really close. Put here. Oh, but now they are not joined, so we are going to use a UV fuse. You can see, let's subdivide. Maybe we subdivide, maybe we see the difference here. They not as bad because it's flat objects, but it should be some. Yeah, there's a little separation there because they are not fused correctly. So we do want to fuse this. UV fuse, and the fuse it's weird. So let's change it to, activate distance. And just make sure you're not merging those little areas. If I make this bigger, there are some edges here that they're lost, because if you make this too high, it just fusing those things. Just make it big enough to fuse these two. You can see here we are fusing. There we just have two islands now. Why do we have two? I don't know why there's island 0. Maybe it's the rest of the object. But island 1 is that. We have one object there. It's fused. The textures look pretty cool. Now if we go here, let's say I have some groups here, which is just saying the texture side, edges of the book, just some groups there to apply the materials. And now we have subdivision, which works pretty well. Got a smooth shader. You can see this, no seams here, pretty well done. Then I have a note here that's actually deforming the book. Here you can see I'm giving this deformation here in this node, a little bit here as well, here in the middle of the book, make it look more natural. You can see this is Houdini. I made all the stuff and this changes already there. I didn't have to redo all this stuff, so pretty cool. I just made it before this happened. The actual topology didn't change that much. It was just a few deformers, a few tweaks and subdivision. So it makes sense to do all the texturing before that happens, instead of having to deal with this deformation and all that stuff. And that translates perfectly. It translates to that deformation as well. So for this area of the book, I should have deleted that because that was pretty simple. But let's do it. Let's redo that stuff. All right, we almost had an hour. Cool. So what I did for these areas, I just textured a. All right, so I just took those two polygons there and there, and I added UV text. No, UV project. No. Forgot to convert my selection to vertices. Sorry. Bird selection vertices. Now UV project that. I'm gonna project on the. That was not what I want. I always get confused with project and texture, but it's cool. Oh no, I want that polygon. Stop! Did I double click? God. All right, so UV texture. UV texture. I want a texture in the C axis. There we go. We have two polygons there. I don't want them to be as big. I want it to be, scale it down to 0.1. I'm gonna say that 0.1 is the right height for this. Not, but so that's what I'm gonna say. Do the same for this area here. I'm selecting UV connected geometries. Let's don't do that. Group, move that, and this, and again UV texture in the X. This again, say 1 for the height, and I'm just gonna say UV layout. Separate these guys. They are one on top of each other. That's my layout of that. I'm gonna say apply a 20 boundary and set. We are set for that, and then apply a material to that, like that. Which is pretty gross. And this side I apply a material which is pretty cool. And it's wrong because I had an image that's already done, and I want to show you this image. It's the texture. So this is a texture. I just took a scan of the book and prepared this, and you can see this is just book. Oh, that's the UVs texture. Those are the posted. You can see this is the scans I did. That's my hand, and this is the texture. I zoom in and fit in the texture. So that's why it's wrong here, because it's a good point actually. They didn't align the UVs as I had them before. Just finish here and I say, all right, whatever, and these are actually outside of the UV space and stuff. But now that I have the texture, how can I align it? UV manually fusing UVs. Yes, you can do that. I already show how you can fuse UVs, but I can show you how to use like few UVs if you want. So how do we align this image to a texture? So you can see we have an image here in the background. If we press D here or use this button here, in the background there is a place to get in that image. So let me just load the texture that I'm using for the book so we can align it to that. So texture, and my UVs don't match at the time, so I can just select everything here, press E to scale, and move them around. Very simple. It's just like any other object. I think if I just lay out this and give it like a 20% edge, it will be aligned. Because I think that's what I did. End of the day. But I'm just gonna try to align it here. It is a little bit big. Yeah. Fill it down a little bit. But this is how would you go about aligning to a texture that you already have, because that happens sometimes. Since you already have the texture and you have to align to the UVs to that. So this is how you can do it. Feel a little bit off. Remove it a little bit. Big, yeah. Big. It's too big. Alrighty. I think that's gonna be enough. Alright. Now that I aligned that, let's go all the way to the bottom. There you go. Looks pretty cool. The pages look pretty wrong because the texture the pages is a little strip. Okay, let's go here. This is the pages texture, just a little strip, and it's being applied to these UVs here. We load the texture here. I actually loaded the PSD. Sorry. Pages side. So this is what happened to the textures covering the whole UV space. So what we need to do here is just scale this. So UV transform. I'm gonna use a UV transform. I'm gonna scale these guys on this direction. Really big, actually. Let me see what's happening in the viewport here. That's what's happening. You can see I'm scaling this so they're covering more area and the pages now look better. Those are the pages. Let's go down here. There we go. Looks all right. Cool. You can see this is merging the two objects, and even after the that is done, it's moved around, added normals, and then I rotated a little bit to make it less stiff. And the floor just made one single texture from the top. There we go. That's how that was done. And that's it. Then I just added a little bit of lights, few lights, the camera, and I rendered. That's how it's done. 2 area lights and I think an environment light. Yeah. And that's how I did it. So there is a question. How can I merge UVs manually? Go to session I have here. Let's say add another object here. Add a grid, something simple. Let's say I apply the texture to this guys one side. Have them some UVs there, and I apply another here. Now I will have 2 UV, making myself here some UVs. Now I want to merge some edges, right? Let's find where the edges actually meet. These 2 edges, I'm lucky. Let's say I want to merge some edges. We can actually just select one edge, say UV fuse. This is what works for me. UV fuse, and then it merges the edges. Now the problem with edges is that it will merge all the vertices to one point, because that's the distant method here. You change this to first group or manually or grid, things will be different. What I mainly do is just I activate the distance and I try to make this distance the one that joins the vertices. If you just want to merge two vertices, like if you go too much till the size of this edge, you will merge all of them. Let's say we just want to merge, say S2, select vertices. You want to select these 2 points here. You can't actually select it. You have to go and select vertices. This I should select, be able to select. Why not? Points. Select geometry, select geometry. Why can't I select here? Let's select vertices then. Weird. The UV fuse, let me see. Yeah, it works. I don't know why it's not showing me that I'm had those selected. That's how you can do it. Just select two vertices like this. You want to join, then UV fuse. Fuse, and it will fuse those. No matter how far they are, it will join in the center or first one. Select and then on this. And if you want to control the distance, you can do it here. Right? I hope that answered your question. So guys, any more questions? Us. It's been a nice tutorial or webinar. If you want to join the whole row here, select the whole thing. Fuse, UV fuse. Again, it will fuse everything to a center, but if you give it some distance, just join that there. Don't go too far because it was gonna start joining everything. That's how you fuse manually. Any more questions, please, guys? Go ahead, ask any question. Doesn't matter. I can ask and answer your questions. If you have them, please do it now. There's the UVs, pretty cool. There are a lot more UV stuff in Houdini. I've seen some really crazy tricks to have UVs on stuff, and it's pretty nice. UVs in Houdini are pretty cool. All right. Any more questions? I'm gonna wait 5 more minutes, and if you guys don't have any questions, I will finish the recording here. So while I'm waiting, I will show you just a little bit of the setup that I did for this render, using some textures from the Pixar library. There's a Pixar texture library. This one. Free. No, available for free. Pretty good. It's pretty good to very common. So Pixar. Here I'm giving you I'm attributing that. I'm saying that I'm using these textures here, and it's pretty cool. It's just a few textures to prototype stuff really quickly. So I'm using that texture here in the oh, don't do that. That texture for the table and for the kind of a carpet texture here on the ground. And I'm using I'm using the principal shader. So I'm using just the color, the bump that the library has a bump attribute. I'm using that for the roughness. Then I'm using the normal for the displacement or the normals. All right, so there's a question: getting back UVs from Maya. Well, if you have UVs already, like any object that has UVs, like Maya, it wouldn't have any. You wouldn't have any issues editing here in Houdini. It will be just like the just like the Roberto example here. Let's say this object came from Maya and it just has UVs already. There's the UVs. If I want to lay this out, these UVs differently, I can just go ahead and do it right here. It's not something hard, or it's not something that you wouldn't do. You can see there's UVs are laid out now here. I'm doing some stuff. I can add padding between them. Can apply correct thingies and all that stuff that I want. I want to edit them. There's like, I didn't show you, but there's a UV brush. Let's say that I had some distortions maybe here. You can use the UV brush. Select the faces. All right, let me select these faces. There's a UV brush. I'll make it smaller. You can see I can move these objects with the brush. The operation is here. You can move them and smoothing that helps to alleviate some of the distortion sometimes in objects. Let's say we had some distortion here, right? Let's see that. And this object could be coming from anywhere. Doesn't have to be from here. It could be from Maya, from anywhere. The UVs are just UVs, and you can UV your stuff in Houdini and take those UVs to Maya as well, or any other application. Yeah, we had some distortion here on the ear, but again, I'm not seeing that. Let me see. There we go. I have some distortion there. I can say UV brush and didn't select the area. Oh, I had something else select. Select everything. UV brush. Say, let's fix this a little bit. Make the brush smaller. Brushing. Did I not select the correct stuff? UV brush. Select area. There we go. Enter. Brushing. No. Okay. I don't know what's happening now. You could see, you saw that I did it before. Not sure what's happening. But yeah, you can edit your UVs. Do it here. Take it to Maya. Get back. How do we go about doing multiple UVs and copying and pasting UVs from other objects? I don't think you can copy paste UVs between objects, but you can transfer the UVs. If I have another, let's say another object that's similar to this one. Let's say that this guy, let me somewhere. This object doesn't have any UVs, and this guy has UVs that I already done. I did something weird here. I think it wasn't updating the viewport. Yeah, I don't know what's happening. Why that's happening sometimes. So if you want to transfer the UVs, you can just use the the transfer, attribute transfer, geometry to transfer attribute 2. It's this transfer for this. You can see it doesn't have any UVs, but I can just say I want to transfer the transfer because they are vertices. I just have to maybe just make attribute promote. Attribute. You can promote the attributes to points, and I have to do that. I think texture, promote it to points, then transfer it here, points, and then just promote it back again. I guess it is a good question. I'll try to find a better solution because this kind of doesn't seem like the right way. Vertex and texture. Yeah, it's not the right thing to do. But no, you can't just copy these from one object to the other. Yeah, this should be a better way. Alright guys. Transfer attributes. Vertex. I don't remember how to transfer vertex attributes. Oh, there we go. Here. Oh. See, so let's just do that. Yeah, you can transfer that here. Sorry for that. See, now both guys have. Didn't sell that one. Yeah, that guy has UVs. That guy has UVs. And we are all happy. Same UVs. There you go. That's how you can transfer those. Sorry for that. I didn't see that thing there. Alright guys, that's gonna be it for today. Thank you for your questions. I hope you learned something today. I know I learned something by preparing this lesson, so that's pretty cool. Dog is here. Go out. And dog says something. It's time to stop working and walk the dog. Alright guys, thank you. Thanks a lot. Hope you learned something. And I will see you next Learn Day. Know how to stop that.